So here's the question for today. Do you know how much long-term care costs, or who even needs this type of insurance coverage? If not, you don't want to miss today's show, where we're going to give you the full scoop on all things long-term care insurance.
Welcome to the Ask Ralph podcast. We're listening to an experienced financial professional with over 30 years of experience can help you make sense of confusing questions, current headlines, and industry trends about taxes, small business, financial decision-making, investment strategies, and even the art of proper budgeting. Ask Ralph makes the complex simple by sharing his real-world knowledge from a Christian perspective with all things financial. Now here's your host, Ralph Estep Jr.
Welcome to our Financial Friday show. I'm so glad you chose to join us. I just want to thank you for listening and even more supporting the program. I'm coming to you from the Estep farm in the Saju accounting studio. Let me put on my podcaster hat and put down those overalls, and let's move that adding machine to the side. Let's get into some financial wisdom from a Christian perspective. Today, our hot topic is long-term care insurance. What it is, who needs it, what it covers, how much it costs, and the pros and cons. Yes, we got a lot to cover, but I think you're going to really enjoy our discussion today. I'll start by defining long-term care insurance. It's coverage that helps pay for extended care services if you become chronically ill or disabled later in life. We're talking help with daily activities like bathing, dressing, using the bathroom, and even eating. Care can happen at home in assisted living facilities or in nursing homes. Really doesn't matter. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join our email list. You do that at AskRalphPodcast.com so you don't miss tomorrow's show. We have a great interview tomorrow with Nick Gataletta. He is the president and CEO of Super Service Automotive. We dive deep into how to start, grow, and maintain a successful business. It's an interview you don't want to miss. Well, let's start with today's relevant Bible verse. It comes to us from the book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 16. It says this: "Every prudent man acts out of knowledge, but a fool exposes his folly." What a great Bible verse today. When it comes to long-term care, having knowledge about costs, coverage options, and planning ahead is key to making wise choices. Long-term care differs from regular health insurance in what it covers and for how long. Health insurance and Medicare pay for skilled, short-term care to recover from accidents, surgery, or illness, where long-term care insurance pays for custodial care or longer time frames if you aren't able to care for yourself due to chronic conditions. You may have heard this talked about stay-at-home insurance or the ability for your loved one to stay in their home. So who actually needs this long-term care insurance? Well, that's a great question. The reality is long-term care situations can happen to anyone. Your risk increases as you age, of course. About 70% of people over 65 will require some type of long-term care services during their lifetime. I hate to say it, folks, but that's most of us, if we're lucky. Now, some people can afford to pay these expenses right out of pocket if the time comes, but most middle-income adults cannot. Okay, so here's the moment of truth. What does long-term care cost? Brace yourselves, folks. The national average for home health aid services runs over $50,000 a year. That's a ton. A private room in a nursing home, nearly $100,000 annually. No one wants to think about needing long-term care, but look at those crazy numbers. Having insurance to cover some costs brings major peace of mind. So let's get specific. What does long-term care insurance actually cover? That's a great question, isn't it? Well, here's the deal. Good policies help pay for care in your home. Assisted living, adult daycare, respite care, nursing homes, and more. Better policies cover home modifications like grab bars and ramps. Just know that policies vary, so again, as I always say, read the fine print, folks. The next logical question is, what does long-term care insurance costs? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Premiums are based on your age, when coverage starts, and the benefit amounts chosen. A sample rate for a 55-year-old could be $1,500 to $3,000 per year for decent coverage. By 65, expect closer to $3,000 to $5,000 a year. Yes, it's quite an investment, although paying now beats paying hundreds of thousands of dollars out of pocket later if care becomes necessary. So time for the main event. Weighing long-term care insurance pros and cons is what you've been waiting for in this episode. So let's start with the pros. Number 1, it provides protection. Policies provide money to cover care costs if you're unable to care for yourself. Number 2, and a lot of people think that this is a huge one, stay-at-home option. You receive care in a comfortable surroundings, in your own home. Number 3, family benefit. It's less burden on loved ones to provide that care. If you've got this coverage, you can bring in home health aides or registered nurses. Another thing it does, number 4, is its asset preservation. You don't spend through your life savings paying for care. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, here are the main cons. And the biggest one of this is the cost. It's a big expense. Not everyone can afford it. Number 2, premiums may increase over time. What you buy today might be more expensive down the road. You must meet policy definitions for benefits to start, so there are some important benefit triggers that you need to be aware of. And here is one that I can't stress enough, and that is there really are no guarantees. Unfortunately, insurance companies do go out of business sometimes. So as with any major financial decision, you've got to carefully weigh the pros and cons. Think through your health history, your family health trends, your financial position, your retirement outlook, and personal care preferences. These all impact if long-term care insurance makes sense for your situation. Had a lot of clients who have had long-term care coverage. Some have really benefited from it. I had one individual who she was able to stay in her home, and her long-term care paid almost $100,000 a year for her to remain in her home. She had 24-hour care. So what do? You consult a fee-only financial planner if you're unsure. At a minimum, have open discussions with your family on wishes and options for care later in life. This is something you want to talk about with your loved ones. So let's do a bit of a recap. In this episode, we define long-term care insurance and who needs the coverage. We revealed the shockingly high annual cost for long-term care today. We reviewed what good policies cover along with weighing the pros and cons of getting this type of insurance. The goal being more financial knowledge and proactive planning to make wise money moves, and that's what we all want to do. Well, I hope this overview gives you knowledge to make prudent financial choices should long-term care needs arise. Visit AskRalphPodcast.com for more money-saving tips with an eternal perspective. Please share this episode if you found it helpful. Let's keep the conversation going on this important topic. Now go out there, get savvy with every dollar, and God bless you today.
Thank you for joining us on the Ask Ralph podcast. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to our next episode. And remember, financial issues don't have to be complicated. Just ask Ralph. The information contained in this episode of Ask Ralph is based on data available as of the date of its release. Saggio Accounting Plus and Ask Ralph Media, Inc. is under no obligation to update this content if changes occur. Applying this information to your specific situation requires careful consideration of all facts and circumstances, and any information provided is not to be considered as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney before acting on any material covered.